Hello guys, welcome back to another episode review of Hollyoaks for 21st December 2022. An interesting episode, a lot's happened. So from previous episode we saw Shaq and Perry going for a kiss, and I think they were about to sleep with each other, but Shaq stopped it because he felt kind of weirded out by it. He's only used to Verity. Right now he explained that to Perry. Perry slowly understood, and she even prompted Shaq to open the gift that Verity's bought for him. I thought it was a pretty decent scene. Again, previous episode review, I did say that Shaq could have waited a week because, like us in this episode, we did see that the fact that it got out and Verity's obviously got brothers and nephew on the village or in the village, and it's kind of hard of them for hearing that her fiance Shaq was kind of like fooling around with Perry. From their end, that might look like it, but we obviously know that both of them, they were kind of lonely and, they were just leaning on each other. I guess timing was not so great, and unfortunately that kind of shown on Shaq's side, and it's not really anyone's fault, so it's not really throwing any judgment. It's just unfortunate sometimes these things happen. The only good thing was Shaq kind of stopped it because he felt it wasn't right as well. And I mean, most people can argue that they're both consenting, and it's not such a big deal, perhaps. But sometimes you got to be obviously a bit sensitive because obviously of Verity's immediate family that are still there in the village, and hearing that isn't probably the best. And obviously Eric lashed out. He started having a go at Perry, calling her all sorts, and he kind of got to under Shaq's skin as well by saying whether he killed her because she said no after proposing to her, and then he went one step further by telling Shaq that I think something along that he was not really he didn't really care for Verity or something, and I don't know, he hit a red button, and Tony can sense that Shaq was getting angry and he's going to punch Eric, and that was a blinding right jab that Shaq's done on Eric's face. And yeah, it's just unfortunate. Eric went a bit too far. I feel like Shaq could have controlled himself a bit, but again, if you're going to go around telling a guy and talking about a guy and his dead fiance like that, then you are going to get what's coming to you. And yeah, I don't know whether I'm kind of feeling Perry and Shaq yet, because it's obviously Verity was a strong character. She was great. The fact that she just left Hollyoaks and passed away as a character on the screen, I think it might be too soon. Maybe in about a month or so. But then, however, Perry's just found out that Juliet just told her about her illness basically in the end. So Juliet came clean. And it all came because Perry and Nadira were fighting, I think near the boat and near the pond, and Juliet had enough and she just came out. And obviously, James helped her as well. I think the chemistry between James and Juliet on screen is just phenomenal. The fact that James has been very supportive of her, and the fact that he hasn't even told her, like he kind of respected her wishes, and he can obviously see how it affected her, and in the end he just given her advice. She kind of listened, and I think Perry and Nadira's fight is kind of funny. I thought they were gonna both fall in the pond, but that fight escalated. Juliet's kind of admittance, if that's a word. She just admitted she's got cancer, and they were just shocked. They would just stop fighting immediately. One thing I just want to skip back on, I just remembered Nancy as well in that beginning of the episode. She went up to Eric and kind of wanted to comfort him by saying that she knows what it feels like. She's obviously had a sister that passed away, and then he was curious. He asked about his sister, and she said her sister slept with one of the pupils back in the days, and I believe that pupil, as they had a child, and obviously Charlie, who is Nancy's nephew, and they adopted Charlie, Darren and Nancy. But anyway, Eric slashed out and started calling her all sorts, started calling Nancy all sorts as well. And Diane was there at the back. She was just utterly shocked what was coming out of Eric's mouth. and I think she sent Eric off, but that was kind of brutal. Especially Nancy went there with good intentions. I did feel for Nancy there, I'm not gonna lie, because she doesn't deserve to be punished, even if it was her sister's mistakes. And the way that Eric talked to her wasn't on, and the fact that he's gone around later going online blaming all the women, how they're all around him, and he's only got his online fellow brothers, whatever we want to call, whatever he calls them, to turn to for support. I would have liked to see this storyline where Eric gets caught earlier on, particularly when he was kind of spiking the women in the village at the peak. So even Maxine as well. So I wish he got caught then. But I don't know, maybe they were trying to show more of a side to him, more of a character. I mean, it is the same creepy old character, he just gets worse and worse. In all fairness, maybe that gives us a chance to see the depth of Eric's character. And because just when you think that when a character can reach their peak of evilness or bad traits, unfortunately it just gets worse. So interesting, but sad and creepy as well at the same time. Interesting episode as well. And I think, oh yeah, Tony as well. I really feel sorry for Tony as well, because he's going around making everyone happy, like Shaq, everyone else on the square, handing out presents. He's not really thinking about himself much. Bo even said to his dad, he's trying to covering up his pain. It's all right to talk to someone. I do feel like Tony needs a breather. Just take a couple of days off work. You don't have to be the strong guy for everyone. But I do think that he's been a strong support for Shaq. Whether Shaq realises it or not, he probably does. But yeah, Tony just needs some time to himself, I think. He's been too strong for everyone. Quite selfless as well. And I think he just needs a little time to his private, in a private kind of way, where he can grieve for Verity in his own way. Because he has known Verity for some time now, at least a couple of years. That is it from me. Hope you enjoy this episode review. Feel free to add anything more, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.